So we continue to follow some of the big stories. How about Delta Airlines? So this is our morning trade. Delta Airlines is set to report its earnings tomorrow morning. We have a preview for you. Senior markets correspondent Caroline Woods is here and watching Delta, which I guess at some point gave us a warning about some domestic travel. Where do we stand now?
Well, shares of Delta are higher this morning heading into that report tomorrow. We're seeing strength across the board when it comes to travel stocks. Airlines, cruise lines, hotel stocks, casinos, all rebounding today. And yes, I would say the bar has come way down heading into this report, given the drop that we've seen in Delta shares since really early February. It's been or I guess I should say it was a turbulent first quarter, if you will. Shares are down more than 35% year to date. 45% off the highs, and really Delta kind of kicks off earnings season. So this will be an interesting one, especially given the drop in consumer sentiment that we've been seeing. We'll want to hear about overall demand, corporate travel, and the impact of the slowdown in government travel. If domestic weakness is spilling over into international travel, we'll be looking for commentary about consumer spending, about those safety incidents impacting demand. Of course, there was the crash in Toronto. And then, of course, outlook will be key, especially given the fact that, yes, they did scale back their outlook once already. In terms of the numbers that we're looking for, EPS of 40 cents. That's a decrease from the same period in the previous year. Revenues projected to rise slightly to $13.8 billion. That's less than 0.5% increase in terms of revenue. For the current quarter, as we said, Delta already cut its outlook. It now expects first quarter revenue. That was, what we're expecting for this. But I will say that the company already said the outlook has been impacted by the recent reduction in consumer and corporate confidence caused by increased macro uncertainty, driving softness in domestic demand. So the real question will be, we know domestic demand has been soft, but is that really spilling over? For the full year, when Delta last reported, they projected full year EPS exceeding $7.35, representing 10% year-over-year growth. On an adjusted basis, EPS guidance represented greater than 19% year-over-year growth, and then free cash flow of greater than $4 billion. Now, a few analysts have actually downgraded shares recently who have called that outlook into question. UBS downgraded to neutral from buy, citing potential challenges in international and premium market segments due to the current backdrop of a weaker economic outlook and then the sharp move higher in tariffs. They think Delta may actually suspend their full year projections during this upcoming earnings season. Additionally, Jefferies downgraded Delta to hold, expressing concerns over weakening corporate and consumer sentiment. They predict that Delta and other major airlines will reduce their full year 2025 earnings guidance. So we'll certainly be paying close attention to that. Other analysts have been scaling back their price targets heading into the report. But I should note, Jefferies and UBS are the only two analysts that have a hold rating on shares. Every other analyst that covers the stock maintains a buy rating. The median price target has come down, though, trading around the median price target is $62. It's trading around $38.60 right now. So on the whole, analysts still see quite a bit of upside for this name. But keep in mind, down 36% so far in 2025.
Yeah, so the concerns are people going to fly?
Yeah.
And how are they feeling? Will they have a job? Will they be impacted by inflation or tariffs or whatever? And in the meantime, this stock is well off of its high of about $70. You made the point, a couple coming down from outperform to neutral, but also that most of the houses still have buy ratings. I mean,
Yep.
There's just this morning I see at least five Seaport, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, Wolf. They all keep their outperform ratings, and their targets, while lower, are still higher than where we are today. Also interesting that they have the overhaul capacity deal that they're working with Pratt & Whitney and Raytheon, and that's in Atlanta. I guess that business agreement is also helping the stock today. But a final thought here, because I don't know what their guidance may or may not be now, because there's uncertainty.
And I was talking about that with Liz Ann Saunders yesterday from Schwab. She basically said we might get kind of a cloudy picture from a lot of these CEOs that are going to be talking on these earnings calls, just because there's so much uncertainty still in terms of tariffs. Obviously we've seen what President Trump has implemented at this point, but he said there's a lot of negotiations. And what impact that is having on just consumer sentiment alone. Consumer sentiment has already been dwindling. So if consumers think, oh no, life's about to get more expensive because of tariffs, maybe they will start to scale back. CEO Ed Bastian already said that people were delaying those summer travel plans, although he last said back in March that he doesn't think we're entering a recession.
You know what I couldn't believe, and I'm going to get to Tim Biggam with the trade, but how Jeffrey Kleintop came on and he talked about so much less travel from Canada to the U.S. and how that can affect our GDP this year. So that was an interesting sort of precursor to a story we may be talking about, whether it's airlines or tourism spending or whatever. Okay, Caroline Woods, great to see you. Thank you. Good talk there on Delta. We continue to follow this story because we have Tim Biggam with us right now. He's going to take a look and trade Delta for us. Good to see you. Some of your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely good to see you this morning. And taking a look at a stock that is finally starting to find at least a little bit of support after a sharp, to say the least, sell-off. You alluded to the fact that the stock was trading up near 70. Really, to start the year, it's been cut in half pretty much. But finding support down along those kind of August lows from last year around that 37 range. So we'll see if it continues to lift off from here or not. But really just taking advantage of what I think is some very high implied volatility, to say the least, in the overall market, although it's finally softening today, and especially short term in the earnings week here. So this is a vol capture trade as much as a slightly bullish lean. So doing a call diagonal trade, lean bullishly out there, looking for the stock to just maybe grind a little bit higher towards that 20-day moving average after finding support here. But more importantly, capturing big vol by selling this week's out of the money 42 calls, hedging by buying traditional May 40 calls, leaning slightly bullishly, not egregiously so. Plus, I have 4 weeks in the interim to chop wood, as I call it, sell additional premium if need be to defend the trade here. So I just think, market overall, Delta in particular, probably will find a little bit more, kind of lift off from here, to use a bad pun, but not too much, I don't think. I think at some point stocks will run into some trouble. So the relief rally we're seeing in the overall market probably will be softening soon here. And the airline stocks in particular probably will benefit the most almost from the low oil prices we've seen. Oil just hovering above 60. That's come down sharply. So that'll be a kind of a nice tailwind for transportation and airline stocks overall.
Yeah, it's interesting how you have this lean to the upside. I mean, you're certainly not going back to the $70, but you see some upside. But it sounds like you're also expecting some volatility in the markets overall. But you do see the upside potential at least a bit for Delta. A final quick thought there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not looking for a rip-roaring, rally post-earnings, kind of capping it off at 42, so less than a 10% upside move. But I think this trade, like I said, you're able to sell over a 120 IV this week, hedge it with under a 70. I like it on that front as much as anything. And I think vol will stay in the market, certainly for the short term. So if I have to re-hedge, I can continue to sell very expensive options, bring down the overall cost if need be. If not, probably profit nicely if the stock does move back towards that 42, 43 area around that 20-day moving average.
So with everything higher today, Tim, how do you feel about the markets? I mean, and the action, the Dow is up 1,400 points. The S&P is back in the green after a crazy day yesterday where it was down 5%, up 3.5%. I mean, we were all over the place. What do you think about this market action today going forward for the rest of the week after the last 3 days?
Yeah, we'll see. We're getting into kind of the teeth of earnings season with the, big banks reporting at the end of the week. So we'll see what kind of earnings are. But I think overall still will be dominated by, what comes out of Washington, to say the least. And I think yesterday's price action hinted at a short-term low, certainly a key reversal day to end all key reversal days if you're looking at from a technical aspect. So I think we might see a continuation of a move higher here, but I don't think we'll come anywhere close to those all-time highs that we saw to start the year. Personally, I think the highs for the year are in. I said that about a month ago. Continue to believe that just simply because valuations, even given the sell-off, still are not cheap here. Interest rates heading higher kind of perversely as well, too. So just going to be a big range, no change market, I think, for the foreseeable future. So, put on your trader's cap, sell rallies, buy dips going forward. We now have the lows in place. You know where to get out if we break below Monday's lows if you got in.
Oh boy, don't even say it. Well, hey, it's good for bears. I mean, for the folks who are betting to the downside, but I think for those who are long, they don't want to see Monday's lows. Tim Biggam, great to see you of Buy Alerts. Thank you so much, Tim.
You bet. Anytime. Take care.